And we're back to SVG. Let us create a radial gradient. In principle, it goes the same way as linear gradients, so we need the SVG as our parent. Inside we'll add a filter and our element. I'll create an ellipse. And I directly add a URL as a fill. We haven't yet defined an ID, but we're going to place it here. We need the radial gradient. I add the ID grad and hashtag grad, so the ID selector to our URL. Now it's connected. Let me close the radial gradient here. Inside we add the stops for the colors and the radial gradient has a couple of attributes. They're different compared to the linear gradient. We need CX, CY, FX, FY and a radius, so R. Then we add two colors. This goes the same way as it did for linear gradients. So we definitely need an offset, a color and a stop opacity. I'll set it to 1 so that's fully visible. First color is at 0%, second color I'll make it to 100%. And you could add multiple stops here in between if you want. Just change the offset value then. As I said, this is exactly the same way it worked for linear gradients. But let me reposition this here slightly. You have to be careful. CY value has to be bigger than my RY radius here, otherwise it's going to get cut off. Now we can work with it. Once again, the offset, it adjusts the position of the two color nodes, you could say, of the radial gradient. So if I make the first one bigger, the greenish part is going to become bigger. And if I make the second one smaller and set back the green to 0, this orange part is going to get bigger. And here's the stop opacity, so you can make your colors opaque. Now let's take care of the things that are new. On this is right here in our radial gradient. First up, we've got fx and fy. This is for the position of the center of our radial gradient. By default, it's 50-50, so exactly in center of our ellipse. But you can reposition that with, for example, 5% to the left or 85% to the right. And fy is for up and down. So you can make this 5% and it's on top, or 95% and it's at the bottom. We want to have it in center, so we keep it to 50-50. And now let's take care of the radius. By default, this is also 50%. So both colors basically get 50% of this gradient fill. But if we make this 5%, you can see the first color is being shrink down. And at 95, the first color is being expanded. So orange almost vanishes. CX and CY is a little bit harder to understand. By default it's 50-50, but you can make this gradient basically tilt into one direction. So for CX it's to the left and right, and for CY it's to top and bottom. So the center position moves to the border of the gradient when you use other values than 50% for Cx and Cy. And this is how you can create radial gradients in HTML SVG. I hope this video was helpful, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.